That was the turning point, the moment that changed Iran forever. In the early 1950s, Tehran was a vibrant and rapidly evolving city. Its streets were filled with people. Traditional bazaars were always busy. Old cars moved slowly through roads passing between mosques. Merchants called out to customers. Families shopped in the markets. And everyday life moved at its usual pace. But beneath this normal life, a massive political storm was building. At that time, Iran had something the world desperately needed: oil. In southern Iran, massive oil fields were active. Refineries, pipelines, and drilling machines operated continuously. Pipelines stretched far across the desert. Huge tanker ships carried millions of barrels of oil to global markets. This industry was enormous, extremely powerful, and highly profitable. But most of that profit never reached the people of Iran. For decades, Iran's oil industry was controlled by a British company, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which later became part of BP. Many Iranians believed that foreign powers were benefiting from their country's most valuable resource, while Iran itself was not receiving its rightful share. This growing dissatisfaction gave rise to a leader who would soon change Iranian politics. His name was Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh was a nationalist leader and a strong supporter of constitutional democracy. He had studied in Europe and believed that Iran should have full control over its own resources. In 1951, when Mossadegh became the Prime Minister of Iran, millions of Iranians placed their hopes in him. He made a decision that shocked the entire world. Iran would nationalize its oil industry. This meant that Iran would control its own oil production and profits, and the control of the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company would end. Inside Iran, this decision was celebrated with great enthusiasm. Thousands of people took to the streets of Tehran to celebrate. Newspapers printed bold headlines declaring that Iran had regained control over its own wealth. For many, this was not just an economic decision. It was a symbol of national pride and independence. But outside Iran, this decision created serious concern. For the British government, it was a major economic blow. Losing control over Iran's oil was a very serious matter. At the same time, the world was entering a new era. The United States and the Soviet Union were competing for influence across the globe. Every region, every country, was becoming part of a larger global struggle. Due to its location and oil resources, Iran suddenly became extremely important. Slowly, economic pressure began to build. Iran's oil exports nearly stopped. Ships stood idle at ports. International sanctions began to affect Iran's economy heavily. Inside Tehran, political tensions continued to rise. Supporters of Mossadegh protested in the streets, demanding national independence. On the other hand, his opponents criticized government policies and the worsening economic crisis. The country became deeply divided. Iran's ruler, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, watched these events with growing concern. The Shah had originally supported a constitutional monarchy, but now the country was moving rapidly toward instability. Inside the royal palace, meetings were held constantly. Advisors studied reports, maps were analyzed, and discussions about the future of the country continued. In the years that followed, historians would describe a secret plan linked to these events, known as Operation Ajax. According to some historical sources, this plan aimed to change Iran's political situation and remove Mohammad Mossadegh from power. Even today, historians debate the full details of these events. But in August 1953, Iran's politics reached a decisive turning point. Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi issued a royal decree removing Prime Minister Mossadegh from his position. When this order reached Mossadegh's residence, a dramatic confrontation began. His supporters refused to accept the order. Confusion spread among soldiers and officials about whose command should be followed. The first attempt failed, and in the middle of this political crisis, the Shah fled the country and went to Rome. But in Tehran, the situation became even more unstable. Protests increased. Clashes broke out in several areas. Crowds gathered outside government buildings. The situation became so serious that the army was deployed in the city. Tanks and military vehicles appeared on the streets of Tehran. Soldiers were stationed outside key government locations. During this time, the national radio station was also taken over. Through radio broadcasts, the entire country was informed that power had changed. Violent clashes occurred in many parts of the capital. This conflict eventually reached the residence of Mohammad Mossadegh. Soldiers surrounded the compound. After intense tension, Mossadegh's government fell. Soon after, Mohammad Mossadegh was arrested. A few days later, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi returned to Iran. He was welcomed at the airport. Soldiers saluted him. The monarchy was restored once again. But this was only the beginning. In the years that followed, the Shah strengthened his power even further. Large-scale modernization projects began in Iran. New roads were built. Industries expanded. Tehran started transforming into a modern city. But political freedom continued to shrink. One of the most controversial institutions of this period was Savak, Iran's secret police. Critics claimed that Savak monitored political opponents and suppressed dissent. Dissatisfaction began to grow within society. Students in universities started debating. Religious groups began criticizing the government. Among these rising voices, one name slowly emerged: Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. Khomeini openly criticized the Shah's policies and foreign influence. Over time, his ideas reached millions of people. By the late 1970s, massive protests spread across the country. Millions of people took to the streets. This movement eventually led to the establishment of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Later, many historians began asking an important question. Did the events of 1953, the removal of Mohammad Mossadegh, lay the foundation for the revolution that followed? Even today, this question remains a topic of debate among historians. But one thing is clear. The events of 1953 deeply shaped the relationship between Iran and Western nations. Today, Tehran is a modern metropolis, but the memories of Mossadegh, oil nationalization, the coup, the Shah's return, and the revolution of 1979 still remain a crucial part of Iran's history. Historians continue to study these events because sometimes the most important moments in history are not just those that bring down a government, but those that shape generations and change the future of an entire region. If you like historical stories like this, do subscribe our channel for such videos. See you in the next videos with more historical events.